Ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin with a question so powerful that if you answer it honestly, it may change your entire life. The question is simple. Why do so many people live their entire lives without ever truly living? Why do most people work, struggle, worry, and hope, and yet never achieve the success, happiness, or peace they dream about? We live in the richest era of human history. We have more opportunities than any generation that has ever walked this earth. We have access to more knowledge than the kings of past empires. Yet despite all of this, despite education, technology, abundance, and possibilities, most people still fail to become what they could become. And the strangest part is this. The reason is no mystery. It has been known for thousands of years. It has been repeated by philosophers, teachers, spiritual leaders, and the wisest minds in history. And yet, even today, almost no one understands it. That reason is the strangest secret. A secret so simple that it sounds unbelievable. A secret so powerful that the moment you grasp it, your life will never be the same again. A secret so hidden in plain sight that people walk past it every day without noticing. Are you ready? Here it is. We become what we think about. That's it. The strangest secret in the world is that we become what we think about most of the time. Every great success story, every great achievement, every great transformation began with a thought, and every tragedy, every failure, every life filled with regret also began with a thought. Our minds shape our reality. Our thoughts build our future. What a person thinks about, that is what he becomes. Sit quietly with that idea for a moment. If a man thinks about success, he moves toward success. If he thinks about failure, he heads straight toward failure. If he thinks about growth, opportunity, faith, courage, learning, and progress, these become the building blocks of his destiny. But if he thinks about fear, weakness, limitations, negativity, and blame, these things take over his life. The human mind is the most powerful machine ever created. It will give you anything you ask of it, anything you decide to pursue. But like any machine, it will also produce whatever you feed into it. Think of your mind as land. It will grow whatever seeds you plant. Success or failure, happiness or despair, goals or confusion. But it will grow something. Because the land does not judge, the mind does not filter. It accepts whatever we give it. And this is why so many people struggle. They fill their minds not with purpose or direction, but with fear, doubt, and distraction. Ask yourself, what do you think about all day long? Your answer will predict exactly who you are becoming. If a person says, I am worried about the economy, his mind begins producing worry. If he says, things never work out for me, his mind becomes an engine of self-sabotage. If he says, one day, maybe something good will happen, his mind takes no action because there is no focus, no command, no target. And so he drifts. Drifting is the most dangerous thing a human being can do. A ship without a destination is doomed before it leaves the harbor. A person without a goal is destined for disappointment. 87% of people never set a clear goal in their lives. They wake up because they must. They work because they have to. They hope things get better. But hope is not a strategy, and a life without direction is a life built on chance. Now let me tell you something remarkable. If you decide exactly what you want, if you set a clear goal, a definite purpose, and hold it continuously in your mind, your life begins to transform immediately. Not someday, not later, immediately. Because you will begin to act differently, think differently, move differently, speak differently. You will begin to notice opportunities you were previously blind to. You will begin to meet people you never would have met. You will begin to feel the strength that comes from clarity. Most people believe that success is a matter of luck, or talent, or background, or connections. It is not. The greatest secret in the world is that you already possess everything needed to design your future. And the moment you understand that your thoughts are the steering wheel of your life, everything changes. Let me share something extraordinary. If you take 100 young people at the age of 25, full of hope, dreams, and ambition, and follow them until they reach 65, here is what you will find. 1 will be rich, 4 will be financially independent, 5 will still be working because they have to, and 90 will be broke, dependent, or struggling. Only 5 out of 100 succeed. Not because the 95% lacked ability or intelligence, not because the world was unfair, but because the 95 never discovered the strangest secret. They never controlled their own minds. They let their environment shape them instead of shaping their environment. They allowed themselves to be pushed, pulled, influenced, and programmed by the world around them rather than directing their own future. They spent their time thinking about what they did not want instead of what they did. We live in a society where people fear failure more than they desire success, where distraction replaces discipline, where entertainment replaces education, where opinions replace truth. And so most people learn to play it safe. They learn to follow the crowd. They learn to think small. This is the tragedy of the modern world, not lack of opportunity, but lack of intention. The world will always give you the result of your dominant thoughts. If you think in terms of goals, you achieve goals. If you think in terms of problems, you attract problems. If you think nothing, you become nothing. The mind does not stop working. It must be directed deliberately. What do you want? Have you ever truly asked yourself that question? Not what others expect, not what society demands, not what your fear whispers, but what you truly want from life. That question separates the 5 from the 95. Most people never answer it, and if there is no target, there can be no arrival. A wise man once said, "A person who does not know where he is going will end up someplace he never intended," and that is the story of millions. The moment you decide what you want, you begin to attract it. People call it luck, they call it coincidence, they call it fate, but it is none of those. It is the natural law of cause and effect, the same law that governs electricity, gravity, and nature governs success. You cannot take from life more than you put in. You cannot harvest what you do not plant, and you cannot become what you do not think about. Every remarkable achievement that ever existed began with one person who decided that he would not live like the rest. A person who focused his mind like a laser. A person who refused to let fear dictate his future. A person who held his goal in his mind every day, knowing that the mind, like a magnet, attracts its own. No one drifts to the top of a mountain. Look around the world today. Most people live in fear. Fear of trying, fear of failing, fear of opinions, fear of change. And fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. The mind will create fear if you allow it. It will create excuses. It will build walls instead of doors. But when you decide to think courageously, fear dissolves. The person who succeeds is not the one who is never afraid. It is the one who decides that something is more important than fear. The day you take control of your thoughts is the day you take control of your life. A person becomes unstoppable when they learn to hold a single idea in their mind long enough for it to become real. Most people fail not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. They allow the world to convince them to settle, but you were not created to settle. You are capable of greatness. You have talents and abilities that no other human being possesses. You were born with unlimited potential, and there is nothing on this earth that can stop you except the limits you place on your own mind. Ask yourself right now, what idea am I planting? What thoughts am I watering? What future am I building? Because whether you choose to or not, you are building one. If you want more, think more. If you want a better life, think better thoughts. If you want success, think success. Do not ask how you will do it. The how only appears after the what is decided. Decide what you want, and the path reveals itself. The universe has a remarkable way of aligning with clarity. Most people wait. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait for motivation. They wait for certainty. They wait until sometime later. But later never comes. There is no perfect moment. There is only now. The strangest secret still remains a secret because people hear it, but they never apply it. Knowledge is useless without action. A plan is worthless without commitment. A dream is nothing without discipline. The key is not knowing, it is doing. The journey begins with one decision: I will control my thoughts. You have everything you need. You are capable of far more than you believe. Your mind is waiting for a command. The only question left is, what will you choose to think about? Because we become what we think about. And so the challenge begins within, not outside. The challenge is not the economy, not the government, not the competition, not circumstance. The challenge is within the mind of the individual who chooses either to think or not to think. The average person today spends more time planning a weekend than planning a life. They react to the world instead of creating their world. They allow chance to determine their fate when destiny could have been crafted intentionally. Think about the power that is already in your possession. Every invention, every discovery, every piece of progress ever made began as one simple thought. Someone thought about electricity long before it lit a single home. Someone thought about flight long before an airplane left the ground. Someone thought about changing the world long before anything changed. Thought is the foundation of everything human beings have ever built, and thought remains the foundation of everything you will build in your lifetime. If thoughts created nations, industries, and revolutions, surely they can create your future. Surely they can build a better life. Surely they can build a stronger version of you, but only if you choose them carefully, only if you protect them like gold, only if you focus them relentlessly. The mind cannot hold confusion and clarity at the same time. It will always become what dominates it. So ask yourself, what dominates your mind? What occupies the space where your future is designed? Is it doubt, or is it belief? Is it fear, or is it courage? Is it complaints, or is it purpose? The strangest secret reveals that the answer to those questions will decide your fate. If a person wakes up each morning thinking about growth, progress, and contribution, his day moves in the direction of growth, progress, and contribution. But if he wakes filled with dread, frustration, resentment, and worry, the world responds in kind, because the world is a mirror. Whatever you project reflects back. Most people look at their current situation and believe it defines them. They say, this is who I am because this is where I am. But that is not true. Where you are now is only the result of who you once were. Who you become next is determined by what you think about now. You are not limited by your present circumstances. You are limited only by your present thoughts. And the instant those thoughts change, your entire life begins to rearrange itself around a new reality. This is why a person with conviction becomes powerful. When you truly decide, when you truly commit, when you truly refuse to accept anything less than your vision, the world opens in ways you never imagined. Because a decision, a real decision, reshapes your destiny long before the outcome arrives. The moment you say, I will become this, your mind begins to construct the path. Ideas begin to appear. Motivation begins to flow. Events begin to align. Coincidences begin to multiply. People call it luck, but it is simply cause and effect. You cannot think defeat and expect victory. You cannot think scarcity and expect abundance. You cannot think weakness and expect strength. Life gives you what you ask for, with your thinking, not your wishes. And the tragedy is that most people ask for so little. They expect little. They demand little. They hope little. And because they expect little, they receive little. The world is not holding you back. It is waiting for you to step forward, waiting for you to think boldly, waiting for you to decide, waiting for you to choose. Every great accomplishment begins with a mind that refuses to stay small. Right now, someone no more intelligent than you is living the life you dream of. The difference is not talent. It is not luck. It is not privilege. The difference is mindset. They chose to direct their thoughts. They chose to think independently. They chose to believe in possibility instead of limitation. And that choice changed everything. Look closely and you will see two types of people in this world. The first type moves through life explaining why they cannot, why it's too difficult, why now is not the right time. They collect excuses like trophies. They allow circumstances to control them. They shrink to the size of their environment. The second type looks at the same world, the same obstacles, the same uncertainty, and says, I will find a way. They think differently. They see possibility where others see barriers. They use the power of thought to break through walls instead of standing in front of them. And eventually they succeed, not because they are lucky, but because the mind makes everything else possible. Remember this, success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And you become that person through the thoughts you allow to dominate your mind. Guard your mind. Protect it from negativity. Refuse to entertain fear. Do not allow doubt to take root. Do not let other people's opinions direct your life. You are the captain of your mind. You are the author of your story. You are the architect of your destiny. What you think about shapes how you feel. How you feel shapes how you act. How you act shapes your results. And your results shape your future. It all begins with one thought. So start today. Begin now, right this moment. Decide who you will become. Hold the image in your mind. See it so clearly that it becomes real long before the world can see it, because the world always sees the result last. The mind sees it first. Do not live your life like the 95. Do not drift. Do not wander. Do not wait. Think intentionally. Think powerfully. Think boldly. Think purposefully. And the strangest secret will work for you just as it has for every person who has ever understood it. We become what we think about.